So let me start record this meeting and then I'm sharing my screen. So are you able to see my screen? So here this is the continuation to yesterday's discussion, that where we would like to read all those servlet parameters which we did yesterday, and also we'll try to prepare one HTML page using which we'll try to submit the data to the servlet and list out all those form values that are submitted from your HTML by using a show servlet parameters. And then we'll also try to understand the header objects that are available as part of your HTTP servlet request and printing all those header information. Right, so that's what we are going to do as part of this presentation. So to start, understand about how a servlet is going to read all the parameters. So we know that there are a couple of parameters we will be able to pass them by using the URL itself, by concatenating the respective query string of values at the end of the given URL of that servlet, and that servlet is going to load by itself, which is nothing but the HTTP's get method, and is going to execute the corresponding do method inside the servlet, which is nothing but do get method, and inside that do get method we are trying to write the respective lines of code to read the values of these param1, param2, param3 parameters by using request.getParameter method. Right, that is what we did yesterday. So we created a new servlet and we named that servlet as servlet params, and we tried to read all those values, and our do post is simply making a call to that one. Right, and when you ran that particular servlet param servlet on your server, right, so it is by default going to show you null values because we are not passing any parameters when it gets loaded on its own. And to pass the parameters, we were editing the URL by concatenating that entire query string, which begins with question mark, param1 equal to certain value, param2 some other value, param3 some other value, and then pressing the enter key is going to return you this particular output, wherein it is going to print you the values of those respective parameters. Right, so that is what we did till yesterday. Now let us write one more servlet, wherein, see, in the servlet which you wrote yesterday, you hard coded the name of the parameter saying that request dot get parameter of param1, param2, param3, all that. But when I am not sure what parameter I would like to pass, I may pass first name equal to something, last name equal to something, surname equal to something, right, DOB equal to something. So any parameters I can pass, and my servlet should be capable of reading whatever the parameters or however the number of parameters I would like to pass it to that servlet. So it should be able to read all those parameters. That job would be done by using a method called getParameterNames. So this getParameterNames method is going to read all its parameters in the form of an enumeration object, and we know very well how do we loop through that enumeration, by writing while that enumeration has more elements and keep fetching the next element, which is going to return you the respective parameter name. And then by using that parameter name you will be able to read all its values. Right, so let's try to write one more new servlet and name it as show servlet params. So who would like to share the screen? Shikanya, shall I make you the presenter? Raja Singh? Okay, Shikanya said yes. Let's go there. Yes, Tikana, you are the presenter. Right, you created a new project yesterday called My Web project, and you also created a new package called as com.servlet.practice, and currently your server is running, right? So just for a while just stop the server, click that red button on your console, right? Okay. Now let's create a new servlet by doing right click on the package com.servlet.practice and name this servlet as show servlet params. Show servlet params. Okay. Remove those two lines, line 29 and 30. And then you can copy these 3 lines of code inside the doGet method. So we would like to set the content type as text HTML, and then we should get the print writer object, and also we are trying to define the title of my page and all. Okay, then using that print writer object, let us print the HTML content. So copy these 3 out.println statements and paste them after line 25. So we are trying to construct the unordered list. After line 35 we can paste it. Press enter and paste it. Right. And then so it is all pure HTML code which we are trying to write. HTML head, title, body, h1, title. We would like to display that title variable as the h1 heading, align to center, all that, right? So after that, copy this enumeration object. So we would like to bring the enumeration of all my parameter names. So when I invoke request.getParameterNames method, that returns me the enumeration object, and I am looping through that enumeration object. Import that enumeration from java.util package. Right. And you know how to loop through that. While param names dot has more elements, and inside that while loop you said string param name equal to param names dot next element. So param names is your enumeration object name, and then the value of that parameter you would like to know. So obviously you will be able to use your get parameter method of the request object, to which you need to pass the parameter name that returns you the param value. So line 44 returns you param name, line 45 returns you param value, and you are verifying that whether that value is 0 or blank, how it is, and if it is the case, I would like to display it as a no value. So just replace that ampersand LT semicolon thing with the less than symbol. Select it, including that semicolon. Remove that semicolon. Yeah, one more. On the same line. Less than. Remove that greater than symbol which you pasted. So if the parameter value is not there, I would like to display it as no value in italic font. Right? If the data is there, then display that parameter name as well as the parameter value as a list item. So that is what we are trying to do inside that while loop. And once you come out of that while loop, you need to close your UL tag, body tag, HTML tag. So all the three tags you need to close. So copy these two out.println statements after line 50. After line 50, not there. Line 50. After the while loop. Right. Save this. Okay, let's run this. Okay, click on the finish button. So since your server is in stop state, it starts the server and then launches the page. See here, it is not displaying you null, 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 all that. Like the way earlier Servlet was displaying null. Why? Because you hard coded the values. Now let's go to that URL and try to pass some parameters. Question mark. At the end of that URL, put question mark. Say first name equal to. Yeah, you can give param name, param, whatever the variable name, whatever the parameter name you would like to give, but don't give spaces. So it should be like the variable. Why to give spaces? No spaces required. Yep. And ampersand last name equal to, yeah, second name, last name, whatever. Then ampersand city equal to, yeah, third name, whatever. Okay. Press enter. Yeah, ampersand you want to give something else? Yes, you can. Right. So like this, first name, last name, city. Three values got printed there. And you want to add one more? Try to add ampersand country equal to. Let's say I don't enter any value, I don't pass any value. I just say ampersand country equal to blank. Press enter. What does it say? Since the request.get parameter of country was returned as blank, whose length is 0, hence the parameter value is displayed as no value in italic font. Right now if you right click and then view the source code of this page, right click anywhere, not on the URL, anywhere on the body of that page, right click, then view source. There you go. See HTML head, title, body, H1 is aligned to center and UL is constructed with all those list items. First name colon, last name colon, city colon, country colon, all that. Right, so this is how we'll be able to read any number of parameters with whatever their names of those parameters. Okay, so now let's prepare a HTML page which is going to invoke this particular servlet. Okay, so let's create a web page, I mean the HTML page. So where can you create that HTML page? In any web project, there will be a web content folder generated for you. So in your my web project, you can see web content folder, last folder. Right click on that web content. It is the place for keeping all your HTML files, JSP files, etc. Right click on it, new HTML file. Okay. So let's call that HTML file as my HTML form, my HTML form dot HTML form, 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 right, dot HTML. Say finish. So it will be creating the HTML file for you. Go to the title on line number 5 and just remove that insert title here. You can give your own title. Say that my HTML form. Okay. Then copy all these lines of code inside the body tag. I mean at line number 8 you can paste all these lines. Copy these lines and paste them at line number 8. Starting from H3 tag. So we would like to display some heading, my HTML form. Then we would like to display the form which is defined with the action attribute, and inside that form we are trying to arrange everything in the form of a tabular format. So copy few more lines and paste them after line 22. Yep. So we are closing the table tag, we are closing the form tag, all that. Now press Ctrl Shift F. Right. So line 8 you can see that there is a H3 heading. Line 9 you can see that form is defined and is closed at line number 28. And that form is defined with two attributes. One is the action attribute, which is, when you submit this form, it will be submitted onto that show servlet params. So you wrote the servlet just before, whose name is show servlet params, right? And method you are mentioning there as post method. And inside that form tag you are constructing a table with table of all those rows of data like first name, last name, address, and then the submit button. So your first name is going to be the simple one line text box, last name is another one line text box, address is a text area, multi-line text box, and there is a submit button kept. Right, save this HTML page. Just say right click and then say run as run on server. So this HTML will get launched with an appropriate URL there in the built-in browser of your Eclipse. This is what your HTML page. Right, you can enter first name, last name, address, and try to click that submit button. Let's see what will happen. Okay, there you go. Right, so all your data got submitted to the show servlet params. And here now one thing you need to observe is all your values are not concatenated to the URL. Right, if you look at the URL, no values gets concatenated. So it is submitting all the data from your HTML page onto the servlet pretty securely. This is the secured way of mechanism which does not allow to tamper your web page, server page by any intruders. Right? So this is how we achieved this one. If you go back to your HTML, there you mentioned line number 9, method equal to post you said. Just remove that method equal to post. Let's see what will happen. Delete, including that method attribute you can delete. So if you don't give any method attribute, by default it should be considered as the get method of HTTP. Right click, run this, finish, and try to enter the values again. Say submit. There you go. Now you can see that all the data got concatenated on the URL because it is by default considering that method as the get method, and that get method works like this, right? So that is the reason we were keeping that HTML form method equal to post, which is actually invoking the do post method in our servlet. If you go to your servlet, there is do get method wherein the entire logic we wrote, and there is do post method which is simply making a call to the do get. It is not implementing any logic. Just below this do get, scroll down, you can see that do post method will be there, line 60. So what the do post is doing, it simply makes a call to do get at line 63, and the do get method is actually implementing the whole logic, right? So just the code is reused here. The same code is reused by do post also. So this way the data submission, whether it is the HTTP post method or get method, and how that output is all about, it should be like this, right? Does it make sense? Now, any questions so far? If you have any questions, you can stop me. Now we'll try to understand the request headers. Okay, so when any browser is sending a request, so that request is either get request or post request, and you can also send any number of headers, right? Like your content length, content type, they are all to be considered as the header information of your request. So this the reading of request headers is pretty much straightforward approach, wherein there is a method provided called get header method, which returns you whatever the header value is available. So let us do one thing. When you are sure that there is an appropriate header name available with you, then you can pass it to the get header. When you are not sure what is the header name, all that, like the way just now you executed get parameter names, similarly get header names is one more there, which returns you an enumeration object, and we know how do we loop through that, right? So let us build one new servlet which is going to create a table of all the headers by default available along with all its associative values. Okay, so let us name this new servlet as show request headers. Request R capital please. Show request headers. Finish. Okay, so let me give you a few lines of code that gets printed. You can remove line 29 and 30. Control D on line 29. Control D once again. So you can press Control D twice. That will be deleting those lines. Now copy these lines. So we are trying to set the content type as text HTML. Then we would like to print all the data. So for that we needed a print writer object. We are getting it by saying response.getWriter. Please select that ampersand LT semicolon. And press Ctrl F. No, it takes a lot of time. Don't do the hard work. Do the smart work. Ctrl F. Wait. Select. Ctrl F. Right. Replace with less than symbol. Replace with. Go to replace with. What it is replacing? It has replaced all empty. Cancel please. Cancel please. Ctrl Z. No. something is gone. At line number 37 some changes were applied. So it has got replaced with blank. Control Z. Yes. Now press Control F. Replace with, enter that less than symbol. Click the replace all button. Click the close button. This is called smart work. Save this. Okay. So we are trying to prepare the HTML page with head, title, body, and then we would like to know what is the method which is used by the servlet by default, under which protocol it is getting executed, and what is the URI, what is the URL, right? So all those things we would like to know. And also we would like to know the respective header names and header values. Let us construct a table after this line number 43. Perfect. Now copy the enumeration object as well. Request.getHeaderNames is going to return you the enumeration object, and we are trying to loop through that header names enumeration and picking one single header name at a time by using header names.next element and printing that header name as well as printing the value of it inside the while loop. Press Ctrl Shift F. While will be properly aligned so that you can understand what while is doing. Ctrl Shift F. Perfect. Save this. So you can see that you are pulling the header name and you wanted to know the value of that header. So for that purpose you are using the get header method. So all these are the methods of it. Like get method is a method of your request object, get protocol, get request URI, get request URL, get header names, get header, right? So these are all the different values we would like to use, right? Save this and try to run this. Let's see what is the output it is going to print. Restart the server because a new servlet is added. No. See, when you continue without restarting, what will happen? The new servlet will not get registered with the server, right? So Eclipse is prompting you to restart the server means restart is required. The server may need to be restarted. So when you say restart, this new servlet will get registered with your server and then it will be available to access it, right? So this way you are able to access it. So request headers info. Request method is get method. Yes. Protocol is HTTP 1.1. URI means after that localhost 0, localhost colon 8080, whatever is there. So all that is known as uniform resource identifier. Uniform resource locator means the complete URL, the complete text, whatever is there in the address bar of the browser. That complete thing is known as the URL. And these are all the various headers available, like accepted or what is all that your servlet is accepting, what all the different content types it is able to accept, and which language it is accepting, what is the cache control, and what is your CPU, is it accepting any zip formats or not, user agent is what, I mean which browser you are working. So right now it shows Mozilla 5.0. Copy this URL and try to execute it in Chrome browser. So your user agent header will be different. Open Chrome browser, a new tab, and paste this URL there. Press enter. And you can see that user agent is Mozilla 5.0 and at the end You can see Chrome slash 54.0. All that. So those things will not be there in your inbuilt browser of the Eclipse. You can compare that. Rest all remains same. Only the user agent will be different because it is all talking about the browser information. Host is localhost colon 8080 and connection is alive right now. Right? So this is how you will be able to work with the request header objects. Is that clear? Okay, so let me share my screen. So this is the output you got just now, and okay, I kept couple of basic definitions, which may be helpful for you for your interview preparations, all that. Okay, these are the definitions which I used to prepare almost 15-20 years ago. And during 90s, during that time, like 98, 99, web is pretty new. We used to pay 50 rupees per hour in the internet cafes. So during that time, I've captured couple of definitions in my notebook. So I just pulled all those definitions which may be helpful for you here. So few basic definitions. Of course, every day we are working with web, right? We might be coming across this terminology, but what exactly it does mean is just a brief set of things. TCP/IP, what it is, HTTP, what it is, and MIME means you are saying that response.set content type. That content type is nothing but MIME, multi-purpose internet mail extension, like which is helpful for us to define what particular file format output we would like to display as a result of that particular servlet. Like you would like to load all the images or videos or text, how it all should show the output to the end user when he is accessing through the browser. So that is all nothing but MIME type, like text slash HTML. So first text indicates it is the data type. Next one indicates the subtype. So when you don't mention anything, then by default it should be considered as text slash plain. And in case if you are trying to load any images, image slash GIF, image slash PNG, so all such things will be able to enclose over there, right? And then HTTP methods like simple request, pull request, get method, post method, head method, all these things. And then one HTTP transaction means what? Like whenever client and server are establishing a connection, and when when the browser is making a request and server is generating certain response, and after the response is given to you, if the server is going to terminate the connection, so that entire activity is to be considered as one single unit of work, which you can refer it as the HTTP transaction, right? So if you are aware of HTML, well and good. Why? Because as the web programmer, so we need to come across lot of HTML code blocks, all that, even as part of your JSPs or plain HTML, all that, right? So those who are aware of HTML is very good, not a problem. Those who are not aware, just I recommend you to visit this w3schools.com. If you can spend 1 to 2 hours, then you will be able to learn the whole HTML thing within 2 hours. So I don't think it will take more than that. We don't need in detail about each and every tag. So we just need to know what HTML is, why it is, how it is written. Right? So HTML is basically required to develop the web pages. Right? So how can we develop the web pages? How can we develop the web documents? So every web page need to be defined with some head portion, some body portion. And what all the content you can define in the head portion of the page and body portion of the page. And inside the body portion, whatever you are going to write, all that is just to present the content in an appropriate format. So all those things you'll be able to understand if you can visit this w3schools.com/html, which is a beautiful tutorial. And apart from that, with respect to Servlet Essentials, all that you want to go through, you can go through all these URLs, right? So this is all about with respect to the request, HTTP Servlet request point of view. So tomorrow we'll try to understand HTTP Servlet response point of view, and also we'll try to understand something with respect to session. So with that, we will try to conclude the Servlet programming, and then we can start working with Java server pages, which is the most elegant mechanism than the servlets and all. Okay, so that's all from my end for today. So do you have any questions? Any questions from your previous practicing things, all that? Don't hesitate to ask anything. No? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, let's wrap it up here. We'll catch up tomorrow then. Right? Thank you, Shikanan. Thanks for sharing the screen. Thank you, Raja Singh, Rishita, Josna, Ali guys. Right? See you tomorrow then. Yep, I will be uploading this PDF. You can download it from your end. Thank you guys. See you tomorrow.